My God, what was that? Was that a tumbleweed? Is that a golf ball? Why no, it's the Ultimate Dice by LEN Polygon. And you might be asking yourself, what is the Ultimate Dice? And it's kind of confusing, but it's really cool, I promise. Lennart of LEN Polygon tweeted me this picture of a round die that has all 7 RPG dice in one and asked if I wanted one. So he sent me 3 instead and said I should paint some up. He also sent me a letter thanking me for showing him how to make dice and is very open that the 3 dice I received are handmade prototypes and that they have issues that manufacturing won't have. I like their honesty. He's also very upfront in saying that these dice are a little bit confusing to learn and so included a diagram for how to read them. Now, this looks way worse than it actually is. There's only 6 things that you need to know. The D20 is obviously the largest number and at the top of each triangle face. The D8 looks like an 8-bit clock because 8, and the percentile has a percentile sign in it because percentile. The D4 is denoted by triangles like a D4 would be, and the D12 and the D6s are within the circles, denoted by numbers for the D12 and pips for the D6. It's all pretty intuitive once you get going, and some of the faces have arrows that point to the correct D4 or D8 answer like this triangle here. So let's say, for example, when I roll this little round area is aimed upwards, I would have an 11 on a D12 or a 5 on a D6, or if this face was aimed upwards, I'd have a 20 on a D20 or a 0 on a D10. You kind of get the picture. It's just how normal dice work. The face that's aimed upwards is the result you get, except it shows you multiple results. The reason it can do this is because it has a lot of faces, and you may have noticed this, it's a very round boy. It's a crap ton of triangles all making up this really awesome sphere with a couple of ball shapes on the ends. But because of that, this thing rolls. You can see I barely nudge this thing and it just keeps on rolling until it is given a reason to stop. It is very, very small on the triangle faces, so it takes a while for it to find a natural stopping point. So I tried out using a dice tray for this, and that improved things tremendously. The surface on this dice tray is still pretty hard. It's leather over wood, so things still have a tendency to roll very easily, and these almost feel like skee ball at this point, but they roll a lot better when they have something to stop against. So a dice tray isn't wholly required, however it is monumentally helpful for these things, and apparently this fabric-like material helps you roll nat 20s a lot easier, baby, or is that just skill because Twintig's in the background? So any sort of padded material with walls is best. Felt is obviously the #1 choice, but if it doesn't have any high walls, that's not going to be ideal. I will show you my tray that I prefer using for these, and it's one I've actually DIY'd, so if you want to make one yourself, you totally can. Honestly, it's a great pocket or backpack tool. That way you always have a full set of dice handy, you know, for when pop-up D&D games happen, like they do all the time. My complaints are very few for a prototype dice set, quote unquote, like this. Honestly, the learning curve is not a big deal. It's really intuitive. After the first roll, you just kind of get it. It just clicks. However, my big complaint is it is hard to tell which face is up sometimes. For example, can you tell me which of these numbers it should be on the tens die? Should it be the 0 or should it be the 20? It's kind of obvious when you look at it at the side like this, but when you look at it at an upward angle, like you normally do for dice, it becomes way harder to tell which face is the correct face. Most of the time, it's not really an issue because there's so many triangular surfaces for it to land upon that doesn't happen all that often, but when it does, it becomes hard to tell. It definitely always lands on a face, so it's not ambiguous or anything. Sometimes you just have to pick the die up to check. Don't forget though, we still do have 2 blank ones, a black and a white set to paint up, so let's go ahead and get inking on those. It is Pride Month, so we're going to go ahead and ink the white one with the rainbow flag colors, and Lennart recommended that I ink the black one gold. He thinks that would look good, and I mean, who am I to deny a man his request like that? I will happily, for Lennart's sake, not my own, I would never ink anything gold. That's not what I do, but for his sake, I'll ink this one up gold. And since these dice have 6 different dice size incorporated in them, and the pride flag has 6 colors, I'm going to go ahead and ink those, each corresponding to a different die size. But first, let's take a look at this amazing gold and black Death Star looking die. I just put paint all over this thing and then wiped off the excess with my thumb, and then took some alcohol on some tissue to wipe up any of the excess paint. And now I'm ready to rule the Empire. God, I would kill for Ren's gold lightsaber. The pride die, as I mentioned before, has a different color corresponding to each different die size, with the D20 being red, the D12 being blue, the D10 green, the D8 purple, the D6 orange, and the D4 yellow. I have gold veins running along each of the kind of transition lines between the triangular faces and the round edges. Unfortunately, I left some of the paint on here a little long before I wiped it away, and so it kind of stained the white, making this look a little bit more jawbreaker than pride. However, who's to say you can't enjoy and celebrate pride while also eating a jawbreaker? So now we have 3 different styles, so you can see how customizable this could be and how great they sound on a small felt-lined dice tray with high walls. I think they should change the name of their company to Chameleonaire, because these dice do be rolling, and I know some people are gonna be hating. In all seriousness though, I don't think that this will be replacing a standard set anytime soon, but it is an awesome conversation piece, and they're just fun, and that's enough for me. If you are interested in getting one of these, I'll put a link to their upcoming Kickstarter in the description. This isn't like a Kickstarter review, that's not the intention of this video. I just wanted to show off a cool design that incorporates a lot of dice into one. It just happens that they do have a Kickstarter coming up, but that's not a part of this. I'm just showing you something cool that somebody sent to me, and I thought you all would like it. So subscribe if you might want to see some more cool dice stuff, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you disliked it, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.